Oh. Okay. This is the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Aisha Shelton, and welcome back to another episode.
Welcome back to another week, Miss Aisha. I think that was the old intro.
Was it?
I think so.
I change it up every time.
Oh, every time. It's brand new. It's
Variations.
brand new, exciting.
Gotta keep it exciting.
So this week, I wanted to talk about something that we hadn't talked about in quite a while, and somebody reminded us of, which is the design life concept that you created such a long time ago. So I wanted to explain it again for those who haven't listened to those old episodes that we talked about it. And then I want to talk about how we've been using it and kind of what people can get from it. So do you want to explain it, or you want me to explain my perception of it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so when you explained it to me originally, it was something that you created in an effort to really not predict, but plan for the future outcome of what you wanted your life to be. And you put together kind of the components of what that looks like and called it Design Life. So when you showed it to me on paper, what it basically is a system that you use to write down your goals, your plans, but ideally what you wanted your lifestyle to look like and what you want your lifestyle to be, and then reverse engineering it to what you need to do to get there. Mm-hmm. Right. So for me, as a planner, of course, I love it because it's everything that you need as an outline. It's basically like an outline to a paper, right? So you got the introduction, the body, and then the conclusion. So if you look at your life like a paragraph, you got the intro where you are right now, right? Like, oh, it took everything I got to get here. And then you have the body. It's what you do in between that time. And then the conclusion is like the legacy part, the retirement part, kind of what do you want to do in those latter years? And for me, I'd never thought about my life in kind of that holistic view. Although I'm a planner, it's been very project specific, right? It was like, hey, I want to accomplish this one thing. So I look at just that. Taking a holistic view of life, it makes you think and it prompts you to think about 10 years from now, where am I going to be? 5 years from now, where am I going to be? And I'm very proud of us that we look back at 6 years ago when we started this process. We are very much living in some of the times that we plan to have, right? And that's exciting because we got real close to what we thought we'd get to. You know what I mean? How did you come up with Design Life when you initially were coming up with it?
I don't remember how I came up with it, but really all it is manifestation, right?
Huh. Okay.
And manifestation is, a lot of people hear manifestation and think, woo, woo, foo, foo. Mm-hmm. But it's also in the Bible, right? Talking about speaking things as if they were. And that's what Design Life was for me, right? I think it was Franklin Covey that I read, the book that I read, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it discussed beginning with the end in mind. And so when you think about what you want your life to look like, you need to think about how you want to retire or not retire. What does your life look like without limits? And what would you like your life to look like 20 years from now without limits? Because there is no limit on what your life could look like 20 years from now.
True.
It doesn't matter where you are today. You can look at 20 years from now and say, I want to be on a yacht on the south of France with my children and you know what I mean? And you can design a life that will help you
resemble
get there,
that.
Right? So it really is beginning with the end in mind and working backwards.
I guess my question to you was, when you were manifesting your life, which, of course, you got this amazing thing that came into your life later. But what did you imagine your life to be when you were initially putting this together? Because it was over 10 years ago, so we weren't together.
It was. And the beautiful thing about Design Life is that you review it annually like we do. Mm-hmm. And so it changes because you also can't account for what life will bring, like this amazing thing that I have right here, mm-hmm. right? But there are variations of what I wanted in my life that exists today. And so you have to be open to change for sure, because you have to welcome in the things that you can account for. Sometimes those are blessings. Sometimes that's, whatever it is, lessons that you can't quite account for. But also I have the vision of what I wanted, right? So when I was 24, 23, when I bought my first house, it was built from the ground up, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Like I chose all the selections and stuff. But I remember saying this is going to be my first rental property. Now, how I was going to achieve that, when, where, what the plan was, I didn't quite have that. But I also said that when I get married, my husband is going to move me out of this house into a bigger house because this is just a starter home. And when I have kids, because this house isn't big enough for everybody, like I had my master bedroom for me, an office, and a guest room for my guests. So where was the family going to stay? Because it just didn't work. So I didn't have particularly a plan of what it was going to look like to a science. But the gist of it, I got married. We got a new house. There's kids involved.
And I remember you being very specific. You didn't usher me to do those things, but you told me what your dreams were, right? And I mean, those were very much my dreams for us as well. It's like, I remember my mama came and visited us at first. She's like, well, when are you getting a bigger
Yeah, when are you getting a bigger house?
Oh, that was like the first she came. I was like, oh yeah, we moved in with Aisha, da. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she came over to visit, and the first thing, like, she walked out, she was like, so when are we getting a new house? When are we getting a bigger house? Because this house ain't gonna do it.
It was perfect for me, though.
It was.
And honestly, even when we first started our life in that house, it was great too, because we were all very close together, and we enjoyed the closeness of it, right?
True.
And as our life has grown and as our portfolio has grown, we will be growing apart in space.
Didn't we make that the office a nursery at a point? I don't think we ever used it as a nursery.
No, we didn't. Because we were already building the new house.
Yeah, that's true. When we were having Austin. Yeah, I know Kayla had Kayla's room very quickly became the guest room, and that was like a thing.
Yes, Kayla's room. There was no.
And we spent one Christmas in that house. We got pictures. We got documented proof. We were in that house for a period of time.
We did.
No, it's interesting.
But when you think about, this is a marriage and real estate podcast, there's so many different ways to get into the real estate business.
Yep.
And when you think about what kind of life you want to have and how you want to live in 20 years, like what you want your life to look like in 20 years, you really have to decide if this particular business is the right fit for you, and not real estate in general, but let's just say Airbnb, right? Like, I want to be an Airbnb host, right? I want to start this business, and I'm going to make a bunch of money as an Airbnb host. How does that affect your life in 20 years? Are you still hosting Airbnb in 20 years? And what does that look like, right?
I think that's one of the things that our generation is lacking, right? Because we see very narrow view of things, right? So it's like, I'm doing this now, I'm making this money right now. You don't necessarily think about 10 years from now. When you're 50, what do you want your life to look like? It's like, hey, this seems real cool right now, but do I want to go break up a party at 2 a.m. when I'm 50? And
unless you have, and then it comes back to planning, right? Because if this is a springboard for something else, right? Yeah. Like when we had Airbnbs, we own the properties, and so they could either be long-term rentals or short-term rentals. And when we ran the numbers, they worked both ways.
Yep.
And they were more lucrative as short-term rentals, but then could be turned into long-term rentals should we need to, right? But it's all about the plan and the planning. And so really Design Life is like, it goes far beyond, real estate. It's also like, what do you want your body to look like and your health?
Yeah.
What do you want from your career? What do you want from your family? What do you want your family to look like? Like, you can totally design and manifest what that looks like. You don't have to accept whatever the universe is going to give you. Like, oh, I'm with this.
You
like,
can move with intention.
And you move with intention, but also like when you meet somebody that doesn't fall in line with what it is you want your life to look like, you can go, okay, we don't see things the same way. Like we don't see life the same way. We probably shouldn't be together, because then that takes you off your course. You know what I'm saying? So it also helps you to choose the right partner and all that other kind of stuff. When we just kind of out here willy-nilly in life.
You get what you get.
You get what you get, right? You like meet somebody, they real nice, you fall in love, but they smoke cigarettes, which there's nothing wrong with people smoking cigarettes, but it may not align with what you want.
It may not be what you want.
Yeah, so you have to like write these things down and believe it, but also when you write it down and you see it, you attract it as well. Like it becomes attainable because you see it.
So, no. I mean, you do know for sure, because honestly, we've been living that out, right? I think I'm very visual. So for me, seeing our children's names on a piece of paper, like I go back and I look at like our 2019, I was showing somebody this morning, our 2019 plan had a spot for our third child, and the name was Kevin, and we didn't even have the full name at the time. We just had Kevin in the spot, and we weren't pregnant. We just knew that we wanted a child, and we wanted a boy child. We wanted to name him Kevin. Right. And I think seeing that manifest has been amazing, but also thinking about the long-term effects of that, like 10 years from now saying, okay, 5 years from now, Kayla's graduating from high school. So what happens at graduation? What happens at college? Like it really puts in the forefront of your mind, this time is going to happen regardless of what you do. But if you start making decisions now for what's going to happen in 5 years, you'll be much better prepared, and it'll be much closer to what you want your life to look like if you make those decisions up front. Yeah. Right. It's like the partner piece. You said, it helps you pick your partner and things like that. That's definitely true, because if you know, hey, I want a non-smoking lifestyle, and you meet somebody who's a smoker, you can immediately go, hey, you're not a part of my plan. Or maybe, smoking or whatever isn't a part of my plan. It's the same thing with, somebody who, if you meet somebody who lives overseas and you want to be here locally or whatever, then that's not a part of your plan unless they're willing to move. So it gives you a good litmus test for everything in your preview to know this is for me or this is not for me based on the life that I've chosen well in advance. And then you end up, I think, you end up with the life that you want and deserve regardless. And your intention helps make it so you deserve the life that you want, right? So it's like, I can make these decisions to, like you always tell me, you can eat healthy. What do you say? You can eat healthy and be healthy, or you can eat bad. And it's like, yeah, I can. And every day that I choose to eat bad, I know I'm not, 5 years from now, I'm not going to be healthy. So I got to start making a decision 5 years ahead to get to where I want to be. I wanted to talk about starting a business. Was starting a business a part of your plan, or was it just having the freedom of living like a business owner?
I definitely, like most of us, wanted freedom, right? Like time freedom more than anything. I wanted to have control of my life and my time, and I knew that real estate was a vehicle for that, right? So yes, definitely starting a business, particularly real estate being a vehicle for that freedom, was a part of the plan. Again, how? I ain't know, but guess what?
No, I mean, it's funny because I wouldn't have started another business after my first business. I shut down. I was like, this is too hard to do by yourself. But I'm not by myself, right? So for me, I was kind of going through it. I was figuring it out. I hadn't put that much thought into past maybe the 12, 24 month period of time. And you put it in great context to like, hey, this is what your life's going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, if you want it to look like this. And that was a very appealing, attractive thing for me, because I was like, oh yeah, that life sound real lit, right? Like, a house or a business or children or whatever. And you don't think about it in those terms so literally when you're just going through your day to day, because it's not real until it's real, right? Like, it was just a child on paper until we had a physical baby. Now we got a whole person walking around here. Like, I mean, down to our insurance. Like, years before we had Kevin, we had him on our insurances. Shelton child yet to be named, right? And that's exciting, because what it does is it helps you track your progress. And I'll get back to how I manifest, which is visually, right? So today I put up on social media our open house flyer for 2023. And what I'm doing is my version of manifesting.
Housewarming.
Housewarming.
It's going to be open housing.
Housewarming. Thank you. I'm so used to selling houses. Housewarming flyer for 2023, because that's how I manifest. I create the visuals for what I believe it will be, and then I get closer to that becoming a reality. And I think I do that in what we build and all these aspects of it. It was exciting to see the trademark for our business go out. When the attorney sent us that last night, I was like, oh man, I was so excited. I was like, this is like a thing, you know what I mean? We've been working on for so long, and to see that TM on the thing, it was like, oh man. But it's your dreams in reality, right? That's the coolest thing about Design Life, because it's truly your choice. It's 100% your choice. Like, you get to pick what you want your life to be. And at the end of the day, you're going to get the life that you choose, whether you choose to choose it or not.
Yeah, that's true. And what's funny is, and I might have said this in a podcast before, like, when you look at people on Instagram or social media, and it's like, is it cap or is it manifestation? Because what happens is
it's a blend of the
people,
two.
it is, because people like pretend to live these lives, and then naturally those things are like attracted to them because they say it, they see it, they surround themselves with it, and somehow or another you got a bunch of rental properties because you like walking around here like, yeah, I'm the man and I get rental properties, or woman. Could be a man or a woman. And you do, though, right? Because you surround yourself with people who are doing those things. And when you surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to do, it's you naturally do what they're doing. So you know what they say, if you want to be a millionaire, surround yourself with millionaires, you'll be the next one. Yep. But I mean, your circle elevates, you elevate, your circle elevates. But most of the time, it's the people around you that are elevated that bring you up, not necessarily the people that you already have around you, right? And if you are the smartest person in your group, if you are the richest person in your group, if you are the most like savvy person in your group, then you're in the wrong group. You need to level up, because you'll always be the person that everybody's striving to be, which means you're stuck and everybody else is coming up to you. So you need to be where you're stretched. You need to be around people who stretch you to be more. So yeah, you and your husband might have 6-figure income and y'all could do some things, but you need to be around people who have 6-figure incomes and are
on a monthly basis.
Right.
6 figures on a month.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. And it's the circle changes too, right? But even that's intentional. Even that is like, so you say you want to be a rapper. I want to be a rapper. Like, okay, cool. Like, what do you do? What other rappers do you hang out with? Who's the rapper that's above you? Hang out I mean, like, and if you hanging out with the rappers, that's your homeboys that's in the same spot as you, you know what I'm saying? Then where y'all going? Like, how do you get up when you don't have like a person that's, you know?
So I'm going to tell you a funny story about Shaq. Shaq was on a podcast and he talked about his rap career. And he said, I'm the most successful athlete rapper of all time. And he put out his numbers. He actually had platinum albums, which is interesting. But the reason why his albums were platinum is he had all the best rappers on his albums.
See?
So he said it. He said, record label approached me and said, hey, I'm going to give you $10 million for 3 albums. And he was like, all right, whatever. He said, all I did was call all my rapper friends that I looked up to and said, hey, I got this record deal. Will you come be on the album? And just to be around me or spend time with me, they agreed to be on this record. I was like, oh yeah, Shaq, I'll do a record with you. So he's like, I end up with a bunch of hits because I got the people who make the hits on my records. I'm not good.
Yeah.
But they're good and they want to be around me. So it's a symbiotic relationship where I can benefit from my circle, even if I'm not necessarily in the spaces I want to be, right? Like if you want to own rental property, you're hanging around a bunch of landlords, a deal might fall in your lap. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, look, I want to own some rental property. I might not own it yet, but I'm aspiring to.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hang out with all these landlords. Well, somebody, hey, look, I'm buying this or I'm not buying this. It's like that couple we met that we sat down with, and they wanted to aspire to own a rental property, and her dad had 40 rentals. So it's like, well, you need to go ask your dad for a rental. And lo and behold, her dad gave her a rental. Boom, you're a landlord, right? You get what you put out there in the universe.
Here's what's crazy about it. She said, I never thought about that. She was like, oh, that's a great idea. I never thought about it.
I bet it's a great idea.
I never thought about asking my dad. But again, you surround yourself around people who are doing the things that you want to do. And it just comes, and it's just like natural. And when people, if you think about the thing that you do every day and how easily you move in that space, that's how easy, when people come to you, you learn so much from them, right? Like for you, for us, it's nothing. We talk about acquiring rentals. We talk about private funding, private lenders and stuff like that, and acquiring funding for our projects and putting together these deals. And for us, it's everyday talk. It's like nothing novel, but we get on this microphone or we sit in front of a group of people and we have this conversation, and all kind of light bulbs are going off for people like, oh my God, we could do this and I could do that and I could do it this way. And so this becomes your everyday conversation. This is the easy thing for you. And then you ascend. So like for us, people are like, man, how you raise what am I trying to say?
Private money.
Private money. How do you raise private money? We've been doing that for several years. It's like easy for us. How do you put together a deal? Like, how do you put together a deal for something as simple as a flip, or putting together a deal for a whole development of a community, right? It's things that come naturally for us. So now that we're in this space where this is the easy part, it's like, okay, what's next?
Now we got to go to the next level.
We need to be sitting up here listening, right? Not talking, but listening and absorbing the information that they have for us, right? While still sharing what we know with the people who haven't quite gotten there
It's
yet.
who you eat with, who you feed, and who's feeding you, like you always say. And, it's funny, you're 100% right about us raising our level, because the struggles for us are nothing for the next level, right? And the struggles for the level that we're feeding are nothing for us, right? So it's not figuring out one deal, it's figuring out 10, it's figuring out 15 for us. And for somebody who's past us, it's like figuring out 100, it's figuring out really big deals, it's things like that. It's like, oh, you just figuring out 10. It's like, in the heart of our struggles, in the heart of the worst times in our business, and when it was really hard for us, when we went to mentors, they're like, oh yeah, that's a great place to be. It's like, what do you mean it's a great place to be? This is hard for me. I said, but it gets easier.
But to hear that, right? Like to be
true.
around people that can say like, hey, it's tough right now. Hey, you're losing money right now. Don't give up. This is a good place to be. There's lots to learn from this very place. If we did not have that kind of support pouring into us at the time when those things were happening, we could have gave up. We wanted to give up.
No, that's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? And so for somebody to be like, no, like it's hard, but if you push through this and it's better on the other side, it's a lot easier. Not easy, but a lot easier to push through. Yeah.
No, I think it goes back to intention and designing your life. So I appreciate you for the design life concept. And for those of you who want to find out more about that, we have the Ultimate Guide to Invest in Real Estate for Couples, which is a great planner to get started. And that's on our Marriage and Real Estate website.
Don't make no promises.
I didn't make any promises.
Okay,
Not making any promises. It's available now. I don't have to make a promise about that. Like us, follow us on social media. There's a bug in this room. Smash the like button.
Like Kevin smashed the bug in the room.
Smash the like button.
Oh my God.
But no, look out for more information. We have some exciting things coming up. So we're going to tell you guys more about that. And we want to appreciate Miss Aisha for setting us all on the right path with Design Life. And we look forward to sharing it with you guys. So this is the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. Another week. We out.